Thank you so much. And we are glad to be here. We want to welcome you to this panel. And we are going to look at how we can leverage on the Center of Excellence to drive transformational changes within our operations, especially the business that we drive, to sustain the new models or to bring on board new capabilities, new services to our environment. So welcome, and we shall go straight on to this topic on the digital transformation. Noting that for the last few years, most of the institutions, businesses, they have been undergoing through the transformation. Has it been successful? Yes and no. How can we make it successful? The model, or what has been now being utilized or being used to deliver some of these capabilities, new energy, is by establishing Center of Excellence. We'll hear how this has been happening in the real situation, and then we get to take away from here the learnings that will go with it. Thank you. I'll give my panelists a minute to say something as we start off. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, thank you. So, whenever we hear of centers of excellence, sometimes we try to think of something that's so much complicated. Some big building that is properly branded and all that kind of stuff. But then when I look at, where I grew up in the village, we actually used to have centers of excellence. So we had this farmer who had his, lawns properly made. He had very nice zero grazing cows kept somewhere, and the whole place was properly run. And so the whole village, and including the agricultural officers, used to go to those particular, homesteads to review how they are able to manage their livestock. So that was the traditional center of excellence. So today, I think what we are going to talk about is how that evolution has happened, and also put it in the context of our financial services. So I'll also give my colleague a few seconds to also introduce the topic. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and just as Julius said, I think there's been a significant evolution on what centers of excellence are, and specifically in financial services, the application has really evolved. I think it's important to really take stock of current state and how things are changing, and take lessons from how others have done it, and see how we can incorporate that in our own businesses just to improve how we execute on our strategies. I think that's really the essence of it. You have a strategy that needs to, at the end of the day, demonstrate value, particularly for customers, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Thank you so much for that brief introduction, and you get into the specifics as we go on. And I'll start by asking Julius, what in your view has been the transformation journey? Julius.
Thank you. So, I started talking about the farmers and how they started in their own small way. So go back into 1980s or 90s. I know there are some others who are here who were born in 2000, so you may not really align that. But think of that shop in your estate. So what used to happen was the person who used to be the owner of that particular business was the accountant, it was the salesperson, it was, it was everything actually, okay? So, but they were able to run it in a way where you could say, if I want to go and buy sugar, this is the place to get it from. If it's, let's say milk, this is the shop I need to go and get it from. So that was the essence of, to them, that was the center of excellence. And then it later on evolved into where companies started now doing some form of specialization. So we started creating, if it's a bank, we started creating, like we have got the sales team. We then created the accounts team. We went ahead and created the compliance and risk teams, which came in later on. And so we also were thinking that, this is my center of excellence in terms of I'm only practicing what is so key to me. And as an accountant, this is what I need to do. And so then now, there are companies that also then went ahead and evolved faster than the financial services. And I like using the example of the fast consumer moving goods. So for them, what they did is they went and separated each product line, and it became like its own independent entity. So you can imagine where there's a team that is dealing with Omo, giving an example of Omo, and this is the team that they have got their own accountant, they have got their own marketing person, they have got their own budgeting person, they've got all these kinds of all facets of, relating to that particular product. So it became their center of excellence in that area. But then banks were also not left behind, including insurance companies where myself and Mohamed come from. So we created what we call segregation in terms of customer base. In segregation, what we did was to say, if your deposits per month are, let's say, beyond 200,000, I want to give you the platinum class. If it's between 50,000 and 300,000, I want you to go into the gold kind of category. Then we started creating counters where you should be able to go to. Now you have got some preferential kind of treatments. So including even the staff, if you were working in the platinum class, the prestige kind of category, you could see yourself like you're in a different center of excellence. That's how we've evolved. Till now, companies also now looked at, how do I move to a different level of strategic alignment? Can I create a different company or a different unit that sits somewhere else that is going to be, innovative, to be ahead of us, to be able to take us to the next level? So the transformation for the center of excellence was actually geared towards disrupting or being innovative. And in the process, then, we now are now talking of centers of excellence. Now, what has happened in the current society, in the current context, in the financial services, and I read this to, my place of work, is where, depending on the strategic alignment you want to have, especially for the digital transformation, you look at what exactly do you need to do to achieve greater success. So if you want to, let's say, part of your strategy is to migrate to the cloud, you set up a center of excellence for cloud migration. If you want to focus on a particular product and you want to launch it and you don't want disturbance from the BAU, the business as usual, you want to set up a center of excellence to specifically focus on that particular project. So that is basically what has happened. Now, the next level of centers of excellence I'm looking at is where you'll be having an autonomous kind of center that is focused on a particular strategy that is going to be running, independently. And so I call them like squads that are independently run, that are going to be changing how an organization works. Thank you. I hope I've been able to.
Thank you for that insights into the journey that has been in terms of transformation. It is a new way of doing things, reimagining the way we do and renewing, all changing the way we do it to improve our operation efficiencies and bring in new capabilities within our organizations, and also to bring in new services with a specialized team, with a focus. So I want to hand it over to Mohamed, who will tell us a bit more on what are the things to consider as you go about to establish a center of excellence. Welcome, Mohamed.
Thank you, Peter. I think the starting point is really understanding why you need it in the first place. Just as Julius has clearly articulated, right now most companies are using COEs to really help with the strategy execution. So it's very important that you understand for the specific COEs you want to create, what are the key objectives that they need to deliver on. So like the example for Cloud Center of Excellence, you really need to understand where you are right now. If you're starting the journey, you need the COE to clearly articulate not only the roadmap of getting there, but clearly mention the governance structures around it, and see it from ideation to implementation, and if it's a capability that needs to go through expansion, you do that. I think the second important thing is ensuring that you have executive buy-in. I think part of every digital transformation, you require people to always be on the same, aligned to the same goal. So it's important that you socialize this with your key stakeholders, particularly from an executive perspective. Not everyone might see it your way, but it's important to take in their concerns and see how you can incorporate it as part of the journey so that they feel like they've been listened to and their concerns are being mitigated. I think that's very important for you to ensure success. The other thing I think is really important how you bring different resources together, because ultimately a center of excellence is about people with different competencies. You bring them together, and it's about identifying what sort of talent you have within the company, and then don't rely on just like-minded individuals. Get different people of different backgrounds and experiences. It really helps in determining the right success for the team. And the last thing I'd mention there, Peter, is you have to do this centering on the customer. If you're not doing this ultimately to benefit how you serve the needs of your customers, I think you would have gotten it wrong from the onset. Yeah, so those I think would be the key foundations that would be required for a successful center of excellence.
Thank you for those. Those are some of the key considerations as you set up the Center of Excellence. They're actually centers of innovation. That's where you assemble the best brains to deliver on that change that you want to deliver, that product that you want to put in the market, and to leverage on the expertise that is there to harness that expertise and come out more competitive in the marketplace, all in the areas of operation that you are in. So these are agents of growth, especially for transformation. And going forward, I would want to request or to ask Julius, can you, in your own view, tell us how can organizations scale Center of Excellence? What are those strategies that the organizations can use to scale the use of Center of Excellence to improve their operations, deliver efficiencies, and be more competitive in the marketplace?
Thank you, Dr. So, you know, I think in the last 12 months, I've been able to set up like 4 centers of excellence, and 3 of them were actually from scratch. So we didn't have people, we didn't have a strategy, we didn't have anything that, you know, was working. So it's like we are going into a green field where you need to make sure that you start from zero and build up to whatever you require. So one of the first things, you know, we did was we had a strategy. We had a major digital transformation strategy. As you are aware, I think it's in the news all over. So we got more than 2 billion kind of funding from the board to move into the digital transformation journey. So some of the areas that we were looking at had never been explored before. So you're going to an area, you are actually green. You start with, you know, first of all, thinking around how will it look like? What exactly do you want to achieve? So we did evangelism internally, because you see, you want to make sure the whole organization is aligned. So I've always said that now I'm the chief evangelist in the group. So this is where you talk about what is going to happen in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, and also then talk to people and show them the opportunities available that they can take. You know, number one is using the existing stuff to see if they can be part of the change. Show them the kind of trainings they can take, if it's data, if it's robotics, if it's cloud, what exactly they need to take in terms of upskilling. Even give them free opportunities to go and upskill, you know. So it took me around 5 months to do that. And then as they are upskilling, I started advertising for those positions internally and externally. But then you'll be surprised that Actually, the response even from the market was very poor. So we could not get the kind of skill sets we needed. So we had to give it a pause for another 2 months to give people more opportunities to upskill. And because you see, you have also sent it out, you expect people to now be, they have gotten a boost that actually can take this kind of course. So of course, at the higher level, because we could not get people internally, we had to go out and get, someone who is senior, who is going to set the pace for the agenda that is supposed to be handled by that Center of Excellence. So I went out, got someone, but then now to boost the resources and make sure they support, we then had to, I had to bring in, do recruitments for the guys who have already taken the step into taking the certifications to be part of this Center of Excellence. So that was, getting the resources, getting the people together. The other item that was there was, I had to look at the benefits that the Center of Excellence is supposed to bring as the goalpost. So at end time, as we are able to achieve whatever we want to achieve, we are looking at the end results. What are the benefits it's going to bring on board? For example, to the CEOs, you want to show them how their profits will increase, how their top line is going to increase, the efficiencies they are going to have, their retention, and all that kind of stuff. So long as it's there, then you get the support from the executive that this particular Center of Excellence is already getting traction. Now, a lot of people try to think that to have a Center of Excellence, we must have a very huge building, an office separated from the others and all that. It may work, but again, it may also create some form of collision where people who are not in that kind of Center of Excellence feel like these guys are being favored in whatever they want to do. So what I had to do was to create a situation where actually you are free to move from one Center of Excellence to the other so that there's kind of relationship. So I've had people moving from cloud services going to robotics. I've got people, and as they upskill, they're able to benefit from whatever is required. Now, whenever you set a Center of Excellence, please don't look at it as a Center of Excellence to give you returns in 5 years, in 10 years. There is what we call the quick win that you can celebrate. So aim to make sure that for you to really reach the scaling level you need, that in the next 3 to 6 months, you need to have something to shout about. So the first thing I had was shout about the certifications that my teams have had. That's still celebration. I mean, these are guys who have never done that, and we are able to celebrate them. The next level is, these are the things we have been able to deliver, and the guys who are able to feel appreciated, that actually they were able to deliver things they've never thought of. Okay, then to the executive, they are able to see quick results on what is required. But remember, your big strategy is already being set. So make sure at least you are able to have your team. Don't feel bad if you have to go outside and get the experts from outside. Again, kindly, if you are able to use the best companies out there that can help you to assist in accelerating your maturity level, bring them on board so that you can learn from the best. And kindly, whenever you're setting a Center of Excellence, don't forget training. You set up a Center of Excellence, and then you realize that after 3 months, you have lost all the people, and then you have to go out and try to recruit when you could have actually retrained and backfilled a whole stream of resources that are coming through. So make sure you have whatever partner you use, whatever you want to do, you have proper retraining that is already, training programs that are put in place. Thank you.
Thank you. He has just demonstrated on how you are able to create value for our customers in an agile way and in a more flexible way, ensuring that you are staying focused to the goal. You have identified your North Star through the corporate strategy, and you are aligning all your activities towards the focus of meeting the strategic goals that are already aligned. But in the course of doing that, we often face challenges. And that's why I want to invite Mohamed to tell us probably what are some of the challenges that are experienced as we transform, especially as we use the Center of Excellence as part of the transformation. So, Mohamed, what could be some of the challenges that we experience?
Thanks, Peter. I think this is where we share experiences, because anyone who's gone through the journey of setting up COE will tell you It's not easy initially until you establish the right practice. Back to my earlier point, I think the one common pitfall I see is that lack of strategic alignment. Because and it's a common trend, particularly with us in technology. So sometimes you have a need, I want to progress something on data or robotics or cloud, and you just take the initiative to run with it within your own functional domain. So if you lack that strategic alignment, there's a tendency that at times you might deliver something, but it's not really accruing the right value for the business. So it's important that you ensure that whatever you've chosen the COE or COEs to focus on has that alignment with what the overall business wants. Another thing I would say is about empowerment. Remember, this is a group of people you brought together. You need to trust them to deliver on what they're meant to. So things like decision making, you need to be able to let go. Allow them as much room as possible to take decisions based on the mandate you've given them. And that's how you can fast track some of the near-term benefits that Julius was talking about. I have an example of business agility transformation that my company embarked on a few years ago. And one of the key things we struggled with earlier on was you've set up a number of teams and for anything to get moving, you still have to follow the usual red tape to get anything unlocked, if it's budget or whatever. So it's important that you take a back step and really entrust the team, take decisions on, to a great extent, what will allow them to move. The other thing I would say is regarding how you manage demand. I think we are all in a very fast-paced environment today. If today I was to meet my counterparts in sales and distribution, their priority will be on capabilities that can help them quickly acquire customers. If I go to someone in finance, they have a bigger need on compliance and analytics and so on. So I think it's really important that you also find a way to create the right focus within COEs, but also manage the demand, because sometimes if you have a center of excellence that's overwhelmed and there's no lack of a framework to help with prioritization, they can be busy, but you're not seeing actual value coming out of them. And I think the last point I would like to mention is it's really important that you also have that culture of agility. Remember, centers of excellence are there to really drive digital transformation. So if you've not created an enabling environment within your organization to facilitate that, then it's always going to be a challenge. So for example, we all hear of companies moving to the agile way of working, but the practice of it is not saying we are agile only. It involves much more. And luckily, we live in a world where there are frameworks that can easily guide you to really entrench this as a culture within the business. So if I look at my company, we make use of the scaled agile framework. And that has helped us really not only organize teams for the benefit of the COEs in executing the strategy, but they're empowered with that enabling framework to do that. So I think it's important that if you're not creating an enabling environment for COEs to thrive, you're always going to shoot yourself in the foot. So that's a key point. I think the last thing I'd like to mention is something Julius talked about the type of talent you nurture within the company. There are skills that most financial institutions today desire to have, but they don't have. But getting this is not always going out there. I think you can have that deliberate plan to build that expertise within the company to really support some of these initiatives that you're driving through COEs. I recall Julius once told me that he has a dream of ensuring that all members of staff have robots that help him create efficiencies within their domain. So that's the kind of mind shift we need to have to really drive successful COEs. Yeah.
Thank you, Mohamed. Thank you, Mohamed, for that. I think he has clearly outlined some of the challenges that we face and the need to enable the various Center of Excellence to deliver on their mandate, be it financial and also the capacity in terms of resources, the human capacity, bring them on board so that they can help work together to deliver on those capabilities, those services, those products, and come up with new innovations as they exchange their brain. But as we say, this requires talent. Institutions assemble talents, either for Center of Excellence or what we refer to, depending on probably the institution you are working with. Some others call it sandbox, where you assemble a talent together with a specific agenda, a specific focus. If the majority of the people you assemble are experts, but over time, we have seen a lot of turnover. This impacts the success of some of those engagements. It impacts the delivery timelines. It impacts the quality. It impacts even the final product that you want to achieve. And these two panelists, they have talked about talent. Maybe they can briefly tell us what is it that they are doing to ensure that they manage that turnover and it doesn't impact so much on the operations of the Center of Excellence in respective institutions. Start with you, Julius.
Thank you. I don't know, do you have a Center of Excellence in your organization, in Co-bank?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so how big is the team?
We have several teams, so it's not one. It depends with where they have, what they focus on.
Super. So you can imagine you start a Center of Excellence and you start with a team of 14, and that team is supposed to take you to, what you want to achieve as a group. And so it works, and it's actually, you see that it's going to deliver what you had anticipated. Now, what will happen is when they see the end point is about to reach, definitely you'll find them losing interest and they'll leave you. Now, whenever you set a Center of Excellence, look at how it's going to, scale out. So, like when I created one Center of Excellence to take us, on robotics, I talked about it was first set was on a hub, where there's a hub that is supposed to manage that. Now the target is I'm already now looking at scaling out. I want to have 400 employees within the next 1.5 years owning their own robot. What it will do is now every company within the group, every department within the group will be having a mini Center of Excellence. So if today any of my key staff members left, I won't be stressed, because already I have got like 50 several other resources who can be brought to take over those kind of, roles. I mean, for a staff to leave, it's not a big deal. I mean, organizations hire from one company, you have the best guy, even the top brains in the industry have been poached to the other companies. So you can't say that you always have to work on retaining. I think the main issue here should be sustainability of your Center of Excellence. It feels good when your core resources are going elsewhere, because then you get also new blood to come in. Yeah, so upscale by training and making sure that whatever is there is key. But again, it's also key to also identify who are your key, team members. So we call them, in insurance, we call them the key man. Okay, key man, So key man, then you need to have backfills for your key men. Okay, I don't know why they didn't add women. So make sure there is always a backup. Say that if one of them is not there, you can actually backfill. And also make it intentional that in your day-to-day operations, right, you can allow one of them, your key men, to be away for even training, so that the other people can learn what they're doing. Now, also, give them targets that are also incentive related. You see, if you know that this is what you need to deliver and you are going to be earning benefits, you earn, let's say, your bonus for the year, let's say, is 20% of your annual salary if you achieve your targets. But then every quarter, first quarter, I give you 10%, second quarter, I give you 15%, and you keep on, and I'm telling you that once you achieve that, I'm going to give you more next year. This is how it's going to work. What will happen is you see guys working in, very closely because they know they are being incentivized as quickly as possible. So those are some of the things that I think I can refer from my end.
Mohamed, anything to add?
I think maybe 2 points for me. First of all, I think we've seen the world today really favors specialists over generalists. I like to challenge that norm. It's good to have people who have specialized in one domain, but I think more and more we're seeing a need for people to learn a lot more outside their domain. Like if you look at technology professionals today, we are a breed that is being disrupted because a lot of what we've known in the past, which people used to think it's like we could do magic, anyone can do it nowadays. So it's really important that you also broaden people's knowledge and create enabling structures for them to learn and acquire new skills. So I would say for your talents, even if it's a center of excellence that's really focused on, let's say, for example, cloud, you would want them to also learn other key skills like on security, because managing security on the cloud is an essential skill. And the operations of it and so on. The other thing I would say about talent is ensuring that people know where they are on their own personal journey. I think we have companies with elaborate talent programs, but people who are meant to be in that program not always know what is in it for me to move me to the next level. So I think it's really important as an incentive you draw out that picture for your talent on where they are right now and where they need to be and what support they need and help them towards that journey, because it's a two-way thing. There's what the company can do for them and what they need to do to get to elevate themselves to that higher level.
Thank you so much. As we draw close to the session, maybe there are three things that are key to success. One is having the right technology to ensure that you can leverage on it. That's why we have continuously innovations around technology. They are there. Two is having the right processes. Some of the institutions are still using old, archaic, inefficient processes. For the Center of Excellence to succeed, there is continuous review of those processes to make them more efficient, more customer-friendly, and more facilitative and flexible to ensure that there is success. And third is ensuring that you have the right talent, as we have said. You need a talent density within your environment, with your Center of Excellence, within the organization, so that you can be able to drive the changes you want. You can be able to drive the development and innovations, because some of these engagements within the COE, they require a lot of innovation, a lot of research, a lot of trial and error that comes in to make sure that the operation efficiencies that you are looking for, the products you are looking for, the service you want to deliver is achieved. And with those few remarks, we thank you, and let's meet again next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love how we are talking about the banking sector. Interesting indeed. Mr. Praveen. Wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful. Wow, let's give them one big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.